Hi everybody, today we are going to be talking about Lesson 9, Reading Scales. So when we read a scale is simply a number line. A scale is a number line that doesn't necessarily count each number. Here in example 1, we have a thermometer. And when we talk about a thermometer, we count by twos. Almost every thermometer counts by twos. However, you can also count by fives, by tens, by 50s, or even by 100s when you're talking about a scale. So normally we're used to seeing a number line going horizontally with my very not even line, with our tick marks going like this. 1, 2, 3, etc. However, in a scale, our number line is vertical and our tick marks go sideways. So on this thermometer, we are in Celsius. Please note that because you will need to put your units on your answer. And then we start at 0 and we read up. So it's like we took our horizontal number line and we just tipped it up on its end so that the 0 was at the bottom. And then we read each number is worth 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now yours would be much neater than mine. So let's look at example 1. At 6 a.m. the temperature was 21 degrees Celsius. So 21 degrees is in between the big line for the 20 and the first small line for the 22. So it would be right about there. The thermometer now shows the temperature at noon. So here it is at noon, and it's right on that line, which would be 32 degrees Celsius. How many degrees did the temperature increase from 6 to noon? So I want to know the difference between noon and 6 a.m. So I take my 32 degrees, I subtract the 21 degrees that it was at 6 a.m. And 2 minus 1 is 1, 3 minus 2 is 1, so the difference is 11 degrees Celsius. Again, don't forget those units. Okay, let's look at example 2. Example 2, to what number on this scale is the arrow pointing? Okay, so let's take a look. This number right here, this arrow line is the 400. This one is the 600. I have 3 more lines. So I've got to count in big enough numbers to get from 400 to 600 in only 3 lines. Well, if I count by hundreds, that would be 500, 600, 700, 800. That's not going to work. So let's try counting by 50s. 400, this little one then would be 450, 500, 550, and then 600. So this arrow right here is pointing to 550. So you may need to experiment sometimes to figure out exactly what the scale is because it may not be obvious. Okay, let's look at example 3. Draw a horizontal number line from 0 to 500 with only 0 and the 100 marks and the hundreds marked and labeled. So we draw our number line horizontally. We start at 0 and they want us to end with 500. And they only want the hundreds marked and labeled. So that means instead of counting by ones, we're going to count by hundreds. 100, 200, 300, 400. So here's my number line, horizontal, arrow at each end. My tick marks evenly spaced, or as evenly as I can get them, and labeled only the hundreds, 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Make sure when you're drawing your number line that you make it nice and big. Don't squish it up really small and try and get all of those numbers in there because it's going to be difficult to read. No. Use your paper and make it nice and big. Okay, let's look at example 4. So copy this number line and then label the missing integers and then draw dots to show the locations of -4, -2, -4, -2, 1, and 4. So again, make a nice big number line. Don't try and squish your numbers together. So we're going to start with -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So here's my number line. I've done this first step. Label the missing integers. Did that step. And then draw dots to show the locations. So we want to label -4. So I'm going to draw a dot on the intersection of the tick mark and the number line. So I'm going to put a nice dot there. Another one at -2, at +1, and +4. Okay, and that's it. Go on to your lesson practice. A, B, and C are on page 59. There is D at the top of page 60. Don't forget it. Again, nice, big, clear number lines. Use space. All right, and I'll see you in the morning.